We're always looking for ways to really grasp complex topics quickly, right? To get informed without getting totally bogged down.
Absolutely. Cut through the noise.
That's exactly what we're trying to do in today's deep dive. We're tackling something that feels, well, ancient and brand new all at once.
Uh-huh.
It's about how the, let's say, enduring message of the gospel is finding its voice, its place in our very digital world.
Right. And for this session, you share those excerpts from A Kingdom Unseen but Online, Reimagining the Gospel in the Digital Age.
Exactly.
And it's a really fascinating look at how these everyday online tools, they're not just optional extras anymore, are they?
No, not at all.
They seem to be fundamentally reshaping mission work itself.
Precisely. So our goal today is to pull out the key insights from this material for you. What are the real opportunities, and maybe more importantly, what are the hurdles
Challenges, yeah.
when it comes to sharing faith, building spiritual growth online, and how does all this modern stuff connect back to a mission that's, well, centuries old?
Okay.
Okay, let's just jump in. Think about this for a second. Every time you pick up your phone, every click, every tap on an app,
Uh-huh.
could that actually be a stepping stone for someone towards something really life-changing?
That's a powerful framing, the sheer potential scale.
Exactly. Imagine technology propelling this message into millions of hearts, crossing borders, cultures.
Yeah. What immediately jumps out from the source material is this strong, almost palpable sense of urgency.
Urgency, yes.
It argues that in today's, incredibly fast digital evolution, these tools are more than just convenient. They're actually powerful instruments for mission work. You almost can't ignore them.
Absolutely. And the piece makes a really critical point for you to think about. If we don't engage, if we kind of shy away from digital evangelism, we risk seeing vital voices, important narratives just fade away in this super interconnected world we live in.
So it's not just about being trendy or keeping up.
Not according to this source. It's framed as seizing a crucial moment, a chance to genuinely impact lives globally and, as the text puts it, even gain a competitive edge in digital mission work.
Okay, a competitive edge, interesting phrasing. But it's not just about using the tools, is it?
No, not at all.
The text really pushes us to consider how we use them and ask that big question. How do we effectively and crucially, ethically, share the gospel in this digital age?
That ethical dimension is key. And the material then flows into this really compelling idea, digital missions in the expanding kingdom.
Right.
It paints this picture of the online world as like a whole new territory, a frontier for sharing that core message, letting us connect way beyond physical travel limits.
And if you connect that to the bigger historical picture of mission work, the parallels are, well, they're fascinating.
Aren't they?
The source reminds us, from the earliest missionaries, the tent makers supporting themselves while spreading the word right up to today's pioneers navigating these global digital networks.
Yeah.
At the heart of it has always been building bridges, crossing boundaries, making connections.
It's such a powerful thread through history. Like you said, letters, then radio broadcasts, now social media, interactive platforms. It's always about finding the way to connect, and the piece really grounds this theologically.
Yes, it specifically brings up Matthew 28.1920, the Great Commission, making disciples of all nations.
The foundational text.
And the digital age, it argues, just magnifies that vision massively. It lets believers go digitally, right from their pocket.
To the ends of the earth, virtually.
Yeah. And it draws that comparison to Paul, too, how he was so adept at tailoring his message for all the different audiences he met.
Which is a perfect segue into the next big idea, the digital mission field. New methods, timeless message.
Oh.
The source explains how digital missions create connections that aren't bound by walls. They form these really vibrant, far-reaching online communities, on platforms we all use, Facebook, YouTube, even TikTok.
And what's key there, I think, is the emphasis that it's not just like randomly posting verses online.
Right. It's deeper than that.
It's about intentionally cultivating relationships that can lead to genuine faith, real transformation. It even cites that idea of using tech to create spaces for authentic gospel living online.
And it introduces this really fascinating concept for you to mull over, the digital realm itself as a kingdom field. Can you unpack that a bit? What does that actually mean?
Sure. The text links this to that theological idea of the already but not yet kingdom.
Okay.
Basically, the idea that God's reign has begun but isn't fully here yet. So digital missions, in this view, become a way to weave together these global networks of believers.
Connecting people across the world.
Exactly. Through shared faith. These digital connections can potentially break down geographical barriers, cultural barriers, and let the gospel message reach places it physically couldn't before. Remote areas, isolated groups.
So from that angle, every tweet, every live stream, every online group you see could be part of this larger unfolding story. Interesting. Then the deep dive gets really practical, looking at practical applications in digital evangelism.
Yeah, this is where it moves from the theoretical to the tangible. What does this actually look like on the ground, or rather online?
Exactly. It mentions interactive content, things like, well, like this deep dive, podcasts, YouTube videos, live webinars that make spiritual ideas feel more accessible, more compelling by tying them into real-life questions and using storytelling.
Then there are the online communities, those virtual small groups, online Bible studies.
Yeah.
They're fostering surprisingly deep connections, mirroring how those early churches functioned in a way.
Yeah, that sense of community, but online. And I was really struck by the mention of hackathons and collaborative projects.
Like Code for the Kingdom.
Right, where tech-savvy folks actually get together to build digital tools for ministry needs, like maybe developing an app to help people find local volunteer opportunities based on faith principles. It shows how different skills come together.
And a crucial point the source makes, for you listening, is that this isn't just for the tech wizards.
No, absolutely not.
Every believer, it argues, regardless of their tech skills, can play a part. Content creation, maybe managing an online group, or even just sharing something meaningful within their own network.
But like any new frontier, there are definitely bumps in the road. The piece addresses these under challenges and opportunities.
Yes, it doesn't shy away from the difficulties. It acknowledges that real concern about superficial engagement online. Could it replace that deeper face-to-face discipleship?
That's a major question, and it brings up ethics again, accountability, the sheer risk of digital distraction.
All valid points. But what's interesting is how the source reframes these for you. It presents them less as dead ends and more as, well, opportunities. Opportunities for innovation, for spiritual growth, actually. Pushing the church to refine methods, uphold integrity online.
So challenges that spur growth. Okay. This leads nicely into the idea of reclaiming the ancient call in a digital age. The emphasis here is that digital missions aren't just a fad.
Right.
They're seen as amplifying a very old, very fundamental human longing for truth, for connection.
And stepping back, the text does a great job tracing that history of communication and faith.
Yeah.
You know, the printing press revolution,
A huge impact.
the telegraph, Paul's letters using the Roman road network, all communication breakthroughs for their time.
Absolutely.
The internet, though, offers that quantum leap, genuine two-way dialogue, building global community in ways previously unimaginable.
It's about recognizing, as the source suggests for you, that people have always used the tools available. It's not about ditching the old methods entirely,
Right.
but figuring out how to use the new tools effectively now.
And it connects directly to the core message, doesn't it? The gospel is fundamentally about connection, hope, transformation.
Yeah.
So drawing that parallel again to Paul's innovative use of infrastructure, digital missions are presented as a natural extension, using interactive media to build relationships, nurture faith, much like those early Christian communities did in person.
Which brings us back to more practical implications. Strategies for a digital kingdom, building on earlier points with more actionable ideas for you.
Yes, it gets more specific about fostering that interactive engagement. Think virtual small groups, live online Q&As, forums where people feel safe exploring faith.
And that concept of community building beyond walls really comes alive here, creating global fellowship groups via social media, embodying that idea of the body of Christ digitally.
Then there's empowering digital discipleship, using online courses, webinars, interactive Bible studies for really deep understanding, equipping people wherever they are.
And reinforcing innovation through collaboration, those hackathons, bringing tech skills to bear on creating tools for evangelism and discipleship, valuing all kinds of contributions.
The source then circles back to that central theme, bridging the timeless call to a digital age.
Right. Emphasizing again that digital missions aren't just an option, they're presented as a vital, life-giving strategy.
Carrying forward that ancient call to reach every heart, but reimagining how the Great Commission gets lived out today.
It really underscores that Jesus' call to make disciples wasn't limited by geography or era. It's expansive, it's intimate.
Exactly. And digital missions, in this view, see technology as the essential bridge to engage our contemporary world.
transforming online platforms.
Social media, streaming, podcasts, apps, into legitimate spaces for worship, dialogue, community.
It paints the digital realm as this vast canvas
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
where stories of redemption, testimonies, hope are being painted in real time.
And to make that even clearer for you, the piece offers more examples under practical application, merging technology with timeless truths.
It talks about the power to expand reach, live-streamed sermons hitting multiple continents at once. That's staggering.
And the ability to foster community through online forums and virtual Bible studies, creating truly global fellowship.
And I found the point on Innovate Outreach really compelling, using digital storytelling, videos, even VR, to capture the imagination of a digital generation.
It frames this whole area as a living laboratory for ministry innovation, presenting age-old truths in fresh, resonant ways.
And again, the clarification, this isn't about ditching tradition.
No, it's about amplifying its core message with modern relevance, adapting biblical truths into accessible, engaging digital mediums.
The deep dive then shifts to weaving the gospel into the fabric of the digital age. Here, it brings back that parallel with Paul.
Right. Paul leveraging the Roman postal system, a communication breakthrough then. The digital realm is positioned as today's equivalent frontier.
So digital missions use today's cutting-edge tools to get that timeless message out.
Exactly. It even coins the term digital reformation,
Wow.
suggesting modern tech can revolutionize evangelism and global fellowship, much like the printing press did centuries ago.
That's a bold claim.
It is. And the theoretical underpinning is seeing technology as a potentially divine instrument for God's mission.
Turning everyday digital interactions.
Tweets, posts, videos, into potential modern-day epistles, if you will, sharing the gospel message.
And highlighting again how digital tools break down barriers, geographical, cultural, political.
Democratizing the message, really, and inviting a complete reimagination of what mission looks like.
Which leads to that call for innovation and courage.
Yeah, stepping beyond the familiar, engaging the digital native with analytics, storytelling, interactive content, while staying absolutely true to the core gospel message.
And to ground that, it gives specific steps under practical application, integrating digital missions in everyday life.
Like equipping modern disciples, training programs for digital literacy, helping people create compelling online content.
And fostering global community, those virtual communities for sharing faith and support. Online studies, prayer groups, webinars connecting people worldwide.
And crucially, measurable impact and continuous innovation. Tracking engagement, adapting strategies, staying relevant in this constantly shifting digital landscape.
The material then guides us through navigating the digital mission field, framing it as this transformative space where tech is a powerful force multiplier.
It keeps using that analogy. Today's missionaries are like a modern-day Paul, navigating new, unfamiliar territories.
And it traces that tech transformation, again, printing press, to digital platforms reaching millions instantly.
Reiterating the biblical foundation. The Great Commission, finding new digital expression, comparing Paul's epistles to tailoring scripture for today's global digital audience.
But it also wisely inserts that caution. We have to maintain authentic, relational discipleship online. That's the challenge.
Definitely. Which leads into a breakdown of the spectrum of digital tools in mission work.
Categorizing the toolkit, basically.
Right. You've got your social media and content platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, for sharing testimonies, studies, live services. The usual suspects.
Then mobile applications, those digital companions for devotionals, prayer, Bible reading, like YouVersion or PrayerMate.
Then the more cutting-edge stuff. Virtual and augmented reality for immersive biblical site experiences.
That could be powerful.
And importantly, digital training and collaborative platforms, online courses, specifically teaching people how to use these tools effectively for mission.
Then the piece circles back to challenges and considerations, but digs a bit deeper this time.
Yeah, it expands on that risk of reducing deep personal encounters to mere data points or viral metrics.
Losing the human element.
And the potential impersonal nature undermining that crucial relational aspect of discipleship.
Plus the ethical minefield. Privacy, misinformation. It requires real wisdom and discernment.
But again, framed as opportunities. Opportunities to integrate digital training, foster accountability, and intentionally preserve face-to-face fellowship where possible, blending the best of both worlds.
And to tackle these proactively, it offers more practical applications in the modern ministry, getting quite specific.
Such as intentional outreach, Designing digital campaigns specifically to invite conversation and community, not just broadcast.
And digital discipleship, using online studies and mentoring to complement, not replace, in-person gatherings.
Training and capacity building workshops to bridge that digital literacy gap among leaders and volunteers.
And advocating for balanced integration hybrid models, combining online reach with essential offline in-person engagement.
The discussion then zooms in on digital evangelism and online discipleship, calling digital evangelism a revolutionary transformation in how the church connects.
It paints this landscape where every device is a potential pulpit, breaking down old barriers, highlighting that first encounter often happens online now.
Yeah, it stresses that the digital world is fertile ground for starting conversations, engaging skeptics or seekers in real time through YouTube testimonies, live stream Q&As, social media campaigns.
And it keeps weaving back to those biblical foundations the Great Commission reinterpreted digitally, Paul's adaptation.
And the theological perspective. Technology is a means, not the end goal, like the printing press, but now interactive, allowing for dialogue and deeper discipleship.
Which leads into explaining online discipleship itself, nurturing that initial seed through digital Bible studies, virtual mentorship, forums, prayer groups.
Turning passive viewers into active participants.
With examples like weekly video conference Bible studies or personalized online mentoring.
And pointing out how virtual communities become sanctuaries, offering expanded access for people in remote or even persecuted regions.
But then, logically, it addresses the specific challenges and opportunities tied to online discipleship.
Focusing on that risk of impersonal, screen-based communication, potentially flattening those crucial relational dynamics.
And the danger of shallow engagements without personal follow-up.
Suggesting mitigation through digital training, focused on relationship building, accountability structures, hybrid events, and strategies to actively counter online misinformation.
Which flows into very concrete, practical applications for ministries wanting to do this well.
Like developing targeted digital content videos, blogs, social posts, sharing authentic stories tailored for diverse groups.
Establishing virtual Bible studies and mentorship programs. Using platforms like Zoom for regular structured gatherings.
Leveraging social media for interactive engagement, live Q&As, prayer chains, being responsive in comments, using analytics to refine the approach.
Yeah, and repeating that crucial point. Investing in digital training for leaders to close the digital literacy gap.
The deep dive then tackles a massive underlying issue, bridging worlds, overcoming the digital divide.
Yeah, this is critical. Framing the divide not just as tech access, but as a social, economic, even spiritual challenge.
Highlighting the reality beyond the perception of ubiquity. Huge disparities still exist, impacting education, economy, and spiritual growth opportunities online.
It draws parallels to historical roots, restricted access to knowledge in ancient times. Similar dynamics at play.
And presents that biblical perspective on connection and inclusion the Good Samaritan call to serve, reflected now in digital missions trying to spread hope equitably.
Highlighting faith in action, things like SMS-based Bible studies or offline content delivery as modern equivalents of ancient wisdom transmission methods.
And detailing practical strategies for digital inclusion.
Like low bandwidth solutions and SMS outreach, making spiritual content accessible even on basic devices.
Community access points and offline content, community Wi-Fi hubs, digital libraries on shared devices like modern community centers.
And the vital importance of partnerships with local organizations, ensuring efforts are culturally sensitive and truly effective on the ground.
Next, the focus shifts to ethics again, with navigating the digital ethos.
The ethical challenges specifically within digital mission work that intersection of tech, faith, and connection.
Discussing that dual nature. Huge opportunities versus risks like privacy violations, misuse of platforms, spread of misinformation.
Highlighting core ethical challenges. Privacy and data security, authenticity, cultural sensitivity, tackling misinformation.
And offering a biblical framework for digital integrity, pulling principles from Scripture like truthfulness, compassion.
Explaining how faith itself acts as a guiding light building trust, showing respect online, mirroring Jesus' own transparency.
And translating theory into practice. Tangible actions like transparency and data policies, accountability through audits, cultivating digital discernment and fact-checking, embracing cultural sensitivity through local partnerships, and leveraging tech responsibly, balancing efficiency with that essential human touch.
The deep dive then explores digital public squares, harnessing social media for the gospel.
Yeah, positioning social media as those modern public squares ripe for innovative and personal gospel sharing.
explaining how it redefines community and connection, creating virtual venues for fellowship, online services, studies, prayer groups.
Highlighting the creative explosion of faith expression beyond traditional forms, Instagram visuals, Facebook devotionals, YouTube testimonies, even TikTok faith moments.
Connecting it back to biblical roots, Jesus' inclusive outreach with social media extending that welcome mat globally.
Emphasizing faith and innovation as symbiotic, again, drawing that parallel to Paul using Roman roads. It's about using the available infrastructure.
And providing practical strategies, hosting interactive virtual church services, creating genuinely engaging and authentic content like personal stories, and actively building safe, inclusive digital spaces with clear guidelines and moderation. The discussion then moves metaphorically to weaving the digital thread, a modern tapestry of faith and innovation.
I like that image. Digital ministry weaving threads of tech, faith, connection into this global tapestry.
Highlighting the versatility of different platforms.
Websites as central hubs, bridging ancient wisdom and modern needs with resources like Bible studies, prayer guides.
Mobile apps putting devotionals and inspiration right at your fingertips.
Social media sparking conversations, building communities, offering a lifeline for those searching online.
Describing immersive experiences via VR, imagine virtually walking through biblical landscapes, a deeply personal encounter.
And explaining collaborative digital efforts.
Online Bible translation projects, volunteers breaking language barriers digitally.
Digital discipleship platforms offering structured learning pathways for deeper understanding regardless of location.
This leads into the digital ecosystem, tools, tactics, and the terrain of the heart.
Framing the whole digital environment as this transformative arena. Digital evangelism isn't just broadcasting, it's building community in dynamic interactive spaces like live Q&As.
Connecting this back to biblical commands about readiness and the early church's communal spirit.
Explaining online discipleship as that ongoing journey of transformation, supported by virtual mentorship, webinars, studies, prayer groups.
Highlighting social media again as the modern public square for sharing stories, testimonies, enabling targeted outreach.
Positioning websites and apps as those crucial digital hubs for resources, enhancing accessibility.
Introducing emerging tech like VRR, again for immersive storytelling, a sensory connection to biblical narratives.
But ultimately emphasizing the terrain of the heart. All these digital elements converge to create a holistic ministry model, effective only when anchored in timeless truths and impacting real lives.
The deep dive then revisits the digital divide, but with a theoretical lens in navigating the divide, theory, and the realities of access.
Contrasting that promise of global digital community with the harsh realities. Lack of hardware, literacy gaps, affordability issues, cultural barriers.
Discussing communication theory foundations. Effective dialogue needs shared code, shared understanding, which includes digital literacy. The divide is fundamentally a communication challenge.
Introducing the concept of the digital diaspora, migrant communities maintaining ties digitally. This represents huge opportunities for culturally relevant ministry in native languages.
Revisiting the multifaceted nature of the divide, affordability, accessibility, censorship, culture, it's complex.
And detailing strategic pathways forward. Innovative tech, like encrypted messaging for security, building digital literacy through education, cultivating those crucial local partnerships.
Presenting a biblical perspective. Scripture itself is a blueprint for connection, echoing Jesus reaching the marginalized. The church's role is to actively transcend these divides.
The discussion continues with understanding the digital currents, navigating modern mission in a connected world.
Introducing the idea of information flow, digital currents shaping communication, and why communication theory matters for digital ministry.
Explaining the need to tailor messages, TikTok videos versus website articles versus live Q&As, adapting the delivery while staying true to the core message.
Highlighting the art of contextualization, just as Jesus met people where they were.
Revisiting the digital divide as inequality, demanding inclusive, considerate approaches. Suggesting practical ways to address it. Low bandwidth resources, community access, multilingual content. Explaining the digital diaspora, again, is this new form of global community, offering pathways for targeted digital mission to expatriates who can then be bridges back to their homelands. But emphasizing above all, a heart-centered approach guided by love and truth, aligning with biblical teachings.
Next, the crucial ethical compass, bearing witness with integrity in the digital realm.
Introducing the profound ethical responsibility of digital witnessing, grounding actions firmly in biblical values.
Focusing first on privacy, treating digital platforms as sanctuaries for personal data, reflecting the inherent dignity of every person, suggesting clear data protection policies and transparent communication.
Emphasizing authenticity. Truthfulness and transparency build trust online. Avoiding deceptive practices. Suggesting honest testimonies and transparent ministry practices.
Highlighting cultural sensitivity, respecting diverse expressions of faith and heritage, suggesting contextualized messaging and truly collaborative partnerships.
Addressing the need to combat misinformation. Actively challenging falsehoods online. Suggesting fact-checking resources and educational outreach.
And focusing on digital security, protecting the community within these digital spaces, suggesting security protocols and user education.
The deep dive then uses the metaphor, seeds sown in the digital soil, cultivating a harvest of hope.
Framing each digital action, a post, a message, a video as a seed sown with potential to transform lives.
Discussing theoretical underpinnings. Communication theory again, tailoring the message, the seed, to the audience, and medium, the soil. Connecting to historical roots and biblical parallels. The parable of the sower, with digital tools as the modern sower's means.
Providing real-world examples of digital harvests, virtual church growth, targeted social media outreach leading to connection, multilingual Bible resources reaching new groups.
And detailing strategies for sowing these digital seeds effectively. Creating engaging, relatable content. Actively participating in social media conversations, building supportive online communities, forging digital partnerships, leveraging professional skills for ministry.
Then we get to kingdom builders, practical applications and inspiring examples.
Introducing the digital age as this new frontier for the Great Commission, where kingdom builders use tech for eternal significance.
Comparing traditional mission, footsteps on the ground, to digital mission, fingerprints online, with the internet as the new Roman road.
Providing diverse examples of digital missions in action, modern-day epistles.
Like Bible translation projects using AI and global collaboration. Think Acts 2 digitally.
Digital discipleship platforms offering online training and mentorship resources. Social media evangelism, TikTok testimonies, YouTube apologetics, relational and real-time. Global Christian radio and podcasts, discipling people, especially in restricted areas. Faith comes by hearing. Digitally.
It also discusses business's mission, BAM, in the digital economy.
Yeah, contextualizing the gospel through digital businesses, maybe language apps, incorporating parables, ethical e-commerce platforms, Christian digital marketing agencies, using marketplace skills.
But it also realistically addresses the challenges and considerations again. Privacy needing encryption, authenticity demanding transparency, cultural sensitivity requiring local context, sustainability needing technical support. It's complex work.
And issuing a call to digital discipleship for everyone, whatever their role, content creator, business leader, just an individual online.
This leads directly into the call to action, unleashing your digital gifts for the kingdom.
Framing the digital landscape definitively as a mission field, echoing historical calls, but for our era.
Redefining the missionary in the digital age. It could be the student live streaming, the mom podcasting, the developer designing an app, democratizing the Great Commission. You're a light digitally.
Applying the body of Christ metaphor to digital missions, highlighting diverse gifts.
Content creators as digital storytellers like modern parables.
Social media strategists as shepherds of online communities. Web developers and app designers as digital architects, building the infrastructure. Translators and linguists as guardians of access, like a digital Pentecost. And prayers and supporters as the invisible power source, like Paul relying on prayer.
Presenting a theology of digital calling. We're created to co-create, and digital space can be sacred space where we use our God-given gifts.
And providing practical pathways forward. Identify your gift, equip yourself, join an existing organization maybe, start small, and stay Spirit-led.
Then, sharpening the focus with your role in the digital Great Commission, a sacred call in a wired world.
Reiterating the Great Commission, Matthew 28:19, but in the context of billions online, it's where the people are.
Reframing the Great Commission, moving from purely physical presence to digital faithfulness. The digital world isn't separate, it's part of reality. Think Paul's epistles again, remote yet present.
A theology of presence.
Yeah.
Your digital footprint matters. It can reflect something meaningful, echoing the idea of incarnation being present where people are.
And presenting a practical five-fold framework for digital discipleship.
1. Reflect, audit your online habits. Align actions with values. Let your light shine online.
2. Learn, equip yourself with resources. Understand the landscape.
3. Connect, partner with online ministries. 2 are better than 1.
4. Start small, use your abilities, share your story.
5. Pray power before platform. It's not by might, but by spirit.
And sharing real stories of impact from everyday people to make it tangible.
Finally, a deep dive culminates with a kingdom unseen but online, reimagining the gospel in the digital age.
Framing this era as discovering a new continent, the digital realm for the Church's age-old commission, an ever-expanding kingdom.
Using the image, the scroll unfurls. History meets the hyperlink. The internet is a modern Mars Hill where ideas wrestle. The digital age is the arena.
Highlighting the massive opportunities, translation, broadcasting, encrypted communities for safety, equipping believers globally, sharing stories instantly.
But also honestly facing the challenges navigating the wilderness of the web.
Noise and distraction requiring intentional, engaging content, infographics, short videos.
Echo chambers and polarization, needing models of gentleness and boldness, being peacemakers online. Ethics and digital evangelism demanding dignity, respectful use of stories and images, wise as serpents.
Offering a biblical perspective. God has always used the technology of the day. Digital tools can be seen as part of providential orchestration.
And offering practical pathways to embrace the digital Great Commission.
Start with intentionality. Audit habits. Redirect time. Share faith authentically.
Offer your gifts. Writers, designers, coders, intercessors, encouragers, all needed. Join forces. Partner with existing organizations already doing this work. Concluding with that evocative idea, a modern-day reformation could be starting online. The gospel isn't threatened by innovation. The ends of the earth might just be usernames and IP addresses today.
So yeah, as we wrap up this deep dive, I think the main takeaway is pretty clear, isn't it? The digital world, it's not just somewhere we visit anymore. It's a huge, constantly changing space for, well, sharing what we believe and building real communities.
Absolutely. And it's so important for everyone listening to remember you have a part to play. It doesn't matter what your tech skills are, really. Maybe think about your unique gifts, your passions, and how they might connect in this digital landscape.
That's a great point. And maybe here's a final thought, something for you to chew on. In a world where, let's face it, so much of life is lived online, what's maybe one small, intentional step you could take, starting today, to more actively, more purposefully weave your own faith, your own beliefs into that digital fabric?
That's definitely a question worth pondering.